Have you ever walked away from a conversation, replaying someone's comment in your head over and over again? Have you ever felt crushed by a single remark, doubting your worth or ability because of someone else's opinion? Why does criticism hit so hard, even when we know it's supposed to help us grow? If you've ever struggled with taking feedback personally or spiraled into self-doubt after being judged, you're not alone. But what if I told you there's a way to transform criticism into your greatest advantage? Welcome to the channel. If you're on a journey of self-mastery, emotional strength, and living life with purpose, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This space is for you. Today, we'll break down how to handle criticism without losing your mind, using the wisdom of Stoicism and the power of a growth mindset. Let's build emotional resilience from the inside out.
1. Criticism isn't the enemy. Your ego is. We've been conditioned from an early age to see criticism as a personal attack, a threat to our self-worth. Whether in school, at work, or in relationships, we learn to associate feedback with feelings of inadequacy. But the real enemy isn't the feedback itself. It's the ego that clings to an illusion of perfection and fears being seen as flawed. The ego demands validation and comfort, and criticism threatens both. This is why even constructive feedback can feel like a wound. Our minds rush to defend, deny, or deflect, often missing the very insights that could help us grow. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus taught that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our perception of them. Criticism in its raw form is neutral. It's just sound, words in the air until we attach meaning to it. The meaning we assign determines how deeply it affects us. One person might hear a colleague's suggestion and think, "They're helping me improve." Another might interpret the same suggestion as, "They think I'm incompetent." The difference is not in the event, but in the interpretation. Recognizing this truth is the first step toward freedom from the tyranny of ego. When someone offers a harsh opinion, the mind tends to spiral. They don't appreciate my effort. They're attacking me. I must not be good enough. But none of these conclusions are facts. They are emotional reactions masquerading as truth. The ego exaggerates threats and clings to identity labels. This is why criticism often feels so personal, even when it isn't meant to be. The antidote is to separate observation from judgment. Just because someone points out a flaw doesn't mean you're a failure. It simply means there's an opportunity to improve. The first skill to master is the pause. Before reacting, take a breath. This moment of space allows the rational mind to step in before the ego hijacks the situation. Ask yourself, is this criticism true, partially true, or false? If it's true, thank the person and use it to grow. If it's partially true, take what's useful and discard the rest. If it's false, let it pass without absorbing it. This detachment is the beginning of personal power because it shifts your focus from ego preservation to self-improvement. Practice reframing criticism as neutral data rather than a personal attack. Try saying to yourself, "This is just information. I choose how to respond." The ego will resist this approach because it thrives on drama and defensiveness, but the wise person understands that criticism is a tool. Like a sculptor chiseling away excess marble, criticism, when processed correctly, can shape you into a sharper, stronger version of yourself. The real battle is not with the critic, but with your own ego.
2. Detach emotion, gain control. Most people hear criticism and immediately feel their defenses rise. The heart races, the stomach tightens, and a wave of emotion surges through the body. Anger, shame, embarrassment, and even fear can cloud judgment. These emotions are natural, but if left unchecked, they dictate your response rather than your reason. Emotional reactivity can make you say things you regret, shut down opportunities for growth, or even damage relationships. But emotion itself isn't the enemy. It's unregulated emotion that leads to chaos. The Stoics practiced the discipline called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. This means preparing mentally for challenges before they arise. Expect criticism. Normalize it. When you accept that feedback, both fair and unfair, is a part of life, you're less likely to be blindsided when it comes. Think of criticism as inevitable weather. Some days it will be a soft drizzle of constructive advice. Other days, a harsh storm of harsh judgment. But when you've prepared your emotional umbrella, you won't be drenched in reactive feelings every time it rains. If you expect the world to constantly validate you, you set yourself up for disappointment. Not everyone will understand you, agree with you, or appreciate your efforts. This isn't a reflection of your value, but simply the reality of human diversity. When you detach your self-worth from external approval, you gain freedom. You can listen objectively, filter out noise, and act on feedback without internalizing it as a verdict on who you are. Next time you're criticized, pause and allow the initial wave of emotion to rise and fall. Don't ride it, simply observe it. Tell yourself, this is just a feeling, it will pass. By refusing to merge with the emotion, you weaken its grip. This creates space for a calm, rational response rather than an impulsive reaction. Over time, this practice strengthens emotional resilience and keeps your self-control intact, even in the face of harsh feedback. One practical tool is journaling. Write down exactly what was said, how it made you feel, and why it triggered you. Then ask, is there any truth here? What can I learn from this? This process transforms criticism from a source of pain into a source of insight. It also reveals patterns in your triggers, helping you address deeper insecurities. By engaging with feedback in this reflective way, you turn what could be a destructive experience into a catalyst for growth.
3. Separate identity from performance. One of the most damaging mistakes people make is fusing their identity with their output. If your entire sense of self is tied to your job, project, or performance, any criticism of your work feels like a personal attack. This is why negative feedback can be so devastating. It doesn't just challenge what you did, it threatens who you think you are. But this is an illusion. You are not your achievements or failures. You are a complex, evolving human being who cannot be reduced to a single performance. When you build a growth mindset, you begin to see mistakes and criticism not as proof of inadequacy, but as stepping stones to improvement. You stop asking, "Am I good enough?" and start asking, "How can I get better?" This shift reframes every piece of feedback as an opportunity rather than a threat. Growth-oriented people view criticism as guidance on their journey, not as a detour or dead end. They understand that excellence is the product of iteration, not perfection. Instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," try reframing the thought as, "I have room to grow." This simple shift reduces the emotional sting of criticism and empowers you to act. Remember that even the most accomplished individuals have faced setbacks and harsh feedback. Michael Jordan famously said he missed more than 9,000 shots in his career and lost almost 300 games. He failed repeatedly, but each failure fueled his growth. He didn't allow criticism or failure to define him. He used it as motivation. Separating your identity from your performance doesn't mean ignoring feedback or lowering your standards. It means understanding that your worth isn't dependent on flawless execution. Your identity is anchored in your values, your effort, and your capacity to grow, not in a single outcome. When you internalize this, you gain the courage to take risks, try new things, and pursue excellence without the paralyzing fear of failure. Let go of the need to be right. Embrace the desire to be better. This mindset liberates you from ego-driven defensiveness and opens the door to continuous improvement. Criticism becomes less threatening because it no longer attacks your sense of self. Instead, it becomes a tool for refinement. By separating who you are from what you do, you unlock a level of resilience and adaptability that few ever achieve.
4. Discern the voice, constructive versus destructive. Not all criticism is equal. Some is rooted in wisdom. Some is rooted in ego, jealousy, or ignorance. This distinction is one of the most vital lessons any person can learn if they hope to grow without being crushed by the opinions of others. When someone offers you feedback, it might be tempting to lump it all together and judge it solely on how it makes you feel. But feelings are unreliable barometers. Criticism that stings could in fact be the most valuable insight you'll receive, while flattery or soft, empty praise may keep you stuck exactly where you are. Consider how many lives have been derailed because individuals internalized destructive comments and allowed those words to dictate their worth. At the same time, think of the countless people who never improved because they were too defensive to accept legitimate guidance. The Stoics taught that external opinions are outside your control, but your interpretation and response are fully within your grasp. This is why you must master the ability to discern. When a person speaks, do not immediately judge the words through the lens of your pride. Instead, pause. Examine the tone, the intent, and the credibility of the speaker. If you treat every remark as truth, you will constantly shift your identity to please others. If you treat every remark as false, you will become arrogant and stagnant. Wisdom lies in balance, neither gullible nor dismissive, but discerning. Your job is to discern the voice, not absorb everything blindly. This requires self-awareness and emotional regulation. Too many people walk through life like open containers, absorbing every opinion, criticism, or insult as if it were a reflection of reality. This is a recipe for emotional chaos. Each person you encounter has their own worldview, biases, insecurities, and motives. If you fail to recognize this, you will allow their projections to define you. Discernment is a protective filter. It shields you from being easily manipulated while keeping you open to learning from those who truly wish to help you grow. Ask yourself, does the criticism address a specific behavior or is it a vague personal attack? Does it feel intended to build you up or tear you down? You cannot afford to simply accept any word spoken about you as truth, because the world is filled with voices, some grounded in wisdom, others poisoned by resentment or envy. Learning to distinguish between the two is a form of mental armor. Constructive criticism points to growth. It challenges your blind spots and encourages refinement. Think about a mentor, coach, or trusted friend who tells you the hard truths you don't want to hear but need to hear. They do this not because they enjoy pointing out your flaws, but because they want you to succeed. Constructive feedback usually has a few hallmarks. It is specific, actionable, and often comes with encouragement. It may be uncomfortable to hear, but you can feel that it is rooted in care and a desire for you to become better. These voices are gifts, even if they sting. They illuminate weaknesses that, if addressed, could propel you forward. The wise do not fear such criticism. They seek it out because they know that blind spots can lead to stagnation. As Epictetus said, if anyone tells you that you are wrong, don't be angry. Instead, ask yourself if they are right. This is the mindset of growth. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, seeks to belittle or control. It's laced with personal projections. It's often vague, exaggerated, or delivered in a way meant to harm your confidence rather than build it up. These are the voices of those who, intentional or not, seek to diminish you. Sometimes they criticize because they envy your progress. Other times they lash out because your choices remind them of their own shortcomings. The key here is that destructive criticism is rarely about you. It's about the critic's inner turmoil. If you internalize their words, you give away your power. This is why the Stoics would advise, consider the source. If a person has no record of living the kind of life you aspire to live, why would you allow their opinion to weigh heavily on you? Do not let those who are lost themselves dictate your path. Learn to ask, does this come from someone I respect? Do they have the results I want? Is their tone rooted in care or control? These questions serve as your compass. If the answer is yes, lean in and evaluate the substance of what they're saying. If the answer is no, you can still listen, but you don't have to absorb. This is what it means to filter wisely. People who lack discernment often swing between extremes, either being overly defensive and rejecting all feedback, or being overly compliant and adopting every suggestion they hear. Neither approach works. Discernment allows you to strike the right balance, open-minded yet unshakable. The Stoics would say, if a fool insults you, consider the source. If a wise man corrects you, consider the message. This is not just a clever aphorism, it's a survival strategy. Life is full of noise. You cannot stop people from speaking about you, but you can choose how much weight their words carry. If you build this habit, you will notice that destructive criticism begins to lose its sting. The insults of the foolish bounce off you because you know they are ungrounded. Meanwhile, you actively seek out the guidance of the wise because you know it will sharpen you. This is how you build an inner fortress. Don't filter criticism through your insecurity. Filter it through your values. This last point is crucial. When you let insecurity be your filter, even constructive feedback feels like an attack. You interpret every suggestion as a sign that you're not good enough. But when you filter through your values, you ask, does this criticism align with the kind of person I want to be? Does it help me live more justly, courageously, wisely, and with greater self-control? If the answer is yes, embrace it, even if it bruises your ego. If the answer is no, discard it without bitterness. This is how you remain teachable without being manipulated. It is how you evolve without losing yourself.
5. Turn criticism into fuel. You can let criticism bruise your ego, or you can let it build your character. This is the crossroads you will face repeatedly in life. Every time someone questions your actions, your abilities, or your worth, you have a choice. You can retreat into self-pity and resentment, allowing their words to define you, or you can use the moment as an opportunity to refine yourself. Criticism, even when painful, can be one of the most powerful catalysts for growth if you approach it with the right mindset. Consider how steel is tempered. It must be subjected to fire, hammered repeatedly, and cooled before it gains its strength. Human character is no different. The blows may feel harsh, but they forge resilience. The discomfort you feel when someone points out your flaws is a signal that growth is possible. Instead of resisting that discomfort, lean into it. Ask, what can I learn from this? How can I use this feedback to close the gap between who I am and who I aspire to be? The choice is always yours. You may not control the words people speak about you, but you control the meaning you assign to those words. This is the essence of Stoic philosophy. External events do not determine your life, your interpretation does. If you decide that criticism is evidence of your inadequacy, you will crumble under it. But if you decide that criticism, whether constructive or destructive, is an opportunity to strengthen yourself, you become unstoppable. The same words that would have broken you in the past now become fuel. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Criticism, when embraced correctly, is not a barrier to your progress, it is the path itself. Every great person has been misunderstood, doubted, judged, but they used it as fuel. They transformed resistance into resilience. Think of the artists, leaders, and thinkers who changed the world. Nearly all of them faced intense criticism, often from those closest to them.
Their work was dismissed, their character attacked, their motives questioned. But instead of retreating, they pressed forward. They allowed the disapproval of others to strengthen their resolve. This is not to say they ignored all feedback. They were discerning. They filtered criticism, learning from what was useful and discarding the rest. That is how they rose above mediocrity. They understood that greatness always attracts scrutiny because it challenges the comfort of the crowd. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when your flaws are exposed, because only then can you fix them. Many people avoid criticism because it makes them feel vulnerable. But vulnerability is the soil in which true growth occurs. When someone highlights a weakness, it is a chance to address it. When they challenge your beliefs, it is an opportunity to test and strengthen them. Without this friction, you remain stagnant. Do not fear the pain of criticism, fear the comfort of complacency. The discomfort you feel now will eventually harden into strength if you allow it. Let criticism sharpen your discipline. Let it expand your awareness. Let it humble you into becoming a better version of yourself. This is a practice. Each time you face criticism, ask, what part of me resists this? Is it my ego, afraid of appearing flawed? Or is there genuinely nothing of value in these words? If there is even a small kernel of truth, extract it and use it to refine yourself. If there is none, use the experience to build your mental fortitude. Either way, you win. This mindset transforms criticism from a source of pain into a tool for progress. Remember, it's not about silencing the critics, it's about strengthening the inner voice that says, I can handle this, I'm evolving. You will never be able to control the opinions of the world. There will always be those who misunderstand you, misjudge you, or even try to deliberately undermine you. But their power ends where your inner strength begins. When your sense of worth comes from within, criticism, whether fair or unfair, loses its ability to destabilize you. You become anchored. This does not mean you close yourself off from learning. On the contrary, you become more open because you are no longer ruled by fear. You can evaluate feedback objectively, extracting what is useful and discarding the rest, because your identity is not at stake. This is how you transform criticism into fuel, by refusing to let it weaken you and instead allowing it to propel you forward.
Criticism isn't a curse, it's a catalyst. The Stoics understood this deeply. They trained their minds not to flinch in the face of judgment, but to transform it into self-mastery. You have that same ability. Don't fear feedback, filter it. Don't fight emotion, feel it, then lead yourself through it. Every time you regulate your response instead of reacting emotionally, you win. Every time you learn instead of defend, you grow. So next time someone criticizes you, don't lose your mind. Use your mind and rise above. If you found this message valuable, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Until next time, stay grounded, stay focused, and keep growing.